Welcome to the Check Swing Podcast with myself. Y'all know who I am, Jay Watson Radio Man. You can follow me there on all the social media platforms. And fan base too. Check me out on fan base. I just joined that platform as well. So you check me out there too. But the star of the show, of course, is my man. What the hell is Red Shirt Noah doing up there? Hold on, let me hold on. I messed this up. Here we go. Let me get Miguel in there. Let me get
See, now you got to do the intro. Now you got to do
screen it all. That's what happens. But the star of the show is now here. We got my man Coach Santa is in the building.
the. Oh Lord!
Going on the blooper reel. Hey, mark that Red Shirt Noah. Mark that. That was funny.
That was funny.
That was funny. What's going on, man? I like to start the show off. I gotta ask my people how they been and all that good stuff. So, Miguel, how you been, brother?
Doing well, sir. Doing well, sir. Still settling into the DMV. Home feels like home now. We finally unpacked our first room. We unpacked the living room. We realized we actually have one now. So after 43 consecutive days of not unpacking, we decided to start. So,
Wow. Okay. Well, hey, look, to each his own. If that's what works for you, and I don't like unpacking. Actually, I don't like packing. Like I don't like packing whatsoever. The unpacking, I'm good with because then that's when you get to set the stuff up the way you want to do it. And
mhm.
I like it here. Nah, I like it here. And then you can do it without a whole bunch of stuff in the way. The packing up part, oh God, that's the worst. That is the worst. Now, I'm not even excited. When it comes to moving, I'm not even excited about moving anymore once it comes time to pack. I'm just not. It's like, you know what? I'd rather stay here.
I think my favorite part of moving is the driving, and then
That's the best part.
yeah, once
That's
we're
the,
loaded and we're driving, it's like I'm good. But then once we have to stop, then it's like yeah, I don't like this part.
then you got to go back to work. It's like the driving part is like lunch break, and all the other stuff is
Yeah,
9 to 5. It's awful. And one day I probably have to look forward to doing that. But it's the check swing pocket. Let me get this thing out. It keeps crumpling. Let me get this out of here.
the
Every time I
show's off to a wonderful start.
every time I
New
put
night.
on, all I heard was crumple, crumple. Get this out of here. Um, I lost all track. Miguel, so you're in Maryland now. You're in Baltimore,
Yes, sir.
and I don't know. I know it's made national news now, but I first heard about this on Monday morning and on the radio station here in Philadelphia. And being that you are an Eagles fan, I wanted to start off the show with this and hear your thoughts on it, and how the news, I guess you would call it, was delivered to you, being that you're not in the area anymore. Um, and that's the claims Deshaun Jackson made in the I Am Athlete podcast interview. And basically, long story short, he said that he was the first athlete to be voted to the Pro Bowl as a receiver and as a kick returner. And Donovan McNabb, his quarterback, said he didn't deserve it. Now, how do you feel when you heard that? Like, what were you thinking when you heard that? Because I know a lot of thoughts ran through my head, but what when you heard that, what went through your mind?
I think so. Being a Philly native and growing up, in the 2000s with the success of the Eagles, I think it's twofold. I think it's Donovan McNabb with his passive aggressive self still trying to recover from being booed at the draft. Because if you ever notice, anytime 2 or 3 years goes by, he always reminds the person, whether he's being interviewed or not, you do know I was booed in the draft, right? So part of it is that. Part of it could be that he's trying to stay relevant because he's had kind of a rough post career, between a couple of DUIs and stuff like that. Now, whether he deserved to be, whether he thinks that Deshaun Jackson deserved to be a Pro Bowler,
Mm.
I I think the numbers kind of dictate that he should, but I think overall, um, I can't. What was he? I forget. Was he referencing a specific season, or was it just in
When he
general?
was talking about the season, I don't know if he was a rookie. I don't know if it was his first time to the Pro Bowl.
So okay, so if it was in the first like 5 years, yes, he did deserve it. But you and I both know that once he got that first concussion, he kind of
Well, and I don't think McNabb and Deshaun Jackson. I don't think they were together past 5 years into Deshaun's career because he
right,
McNabb wasn't there that long after Deshaun left. But to have your quarterback walking around the locker room telling people he said he told Mike Vick like no he don't deserve it. Like that's your quarterback. That's you're throwing the ball to him.
right.
He's making the plays, and you're saying that he doesn't. It spoke to a lot for me because now the Terrell Owens situation makes a little more sense to me now. Like this is who you are,
Yeah,
like Donovan. I mean, if this is if what they're saying is accurate, like this is who you are. This is where this is where you live here. Um, Downing your own teammates. I mean, it's not like you were a Hall of Famer talking back. Like it's not like you're Charles Barkley talking about today's guys. You're not Kareem talking about today's guys. You're not Lawrence Taylor talking about today's guys. This is somebody that you're in a locker room with that you throw the ball to, and you don't. So, like, if he doesn't deserve to go and he's making the plays, does that mean that you need to throw the ball to him some more?
and it kind of goes in because there were stories that there were some people that Donovan McNabb refused to throw to, so that kind of makes sense too because there were instances where you saw certain people that were somewhat wide open. It's like, oh, why didn't he throw it to them? And then you got James Thrash to throw to, and you're not throwing to the person that's open. So it kind of goes into that theology as well. So
Yeah, and you know what? And you saying that, who comes to mind right away? Freddie, what was his
Freddie
name?
Freddie Mitchell, who was probably the
Freddie Mitchell.
worst. I think he averaged what, like an inch of space off of receiver. He was possibly the slowest receiver.
But he had hands. He had
Did
hands.
he?
And he wasn't blowing people off the line in college either.
Yeah, but
Like,
he I mean his
is your
he was the first Philly self-proclaimed superstar that his ego never matched his talent.
that is true. That I would not disagree with that. But Donovan didn't throw him the ball much either. I mean, you're saying he didn't get a lot of separation, but we've seen Donovan make some dumb throws. He didn't throw the ball. And you can look back at some of the film and see where Freddie Mitchell was open and Donovan didn't throw him the ball.
Yeah. I mean
So after
even
26 and Freddie came out with his shoes and whatever, he said, I'd like to thank my hands and blah blah blah. And then he started blowing himself up. Donovan didn't like that, you think? Maybe that's why he didn't want to throw Freddie the ball later on in his career. I mean,
yeah, there's so many issues with Donovan just from a personality standpoint to, I think I think even while he was playing, he felt kind of entitled because he didn't throw a lot of interceptions. Yes, he did not. He made some stupid throws, especially early on in his career. But I thought that he did hold on to the ball too long, and I think that unless the pass was perfect, he wouldn't make those risky throws. You know what I mean? And I think that's what actually set him back.
mhm.
But I think too, with the way he would always talk about losses and just come up short of taking the blame, I think Deshaun and McNabb, or I mean Deshaun and Terrell Owens maybe onto something, as far as that
Yeah,
attitude.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, it just kind of speaks to some things. And it's funny that this is the first that's come out. I'm surprised that hasn't come out, before. Because that's pretty interesting right there.
And
And that's
and and Terrell Owens, he came out, was this 2 days ago. He said, facts 100, media, front office, they all had his back for whatever reason. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Doesn't matter who you are. He got management not to bring me back, but still didn't stop me from reducing on the next team. Not that he was,
yeah, Joe. I mean, you good and all, and I ain't taking nothing from you, but y'all both got the same amount of Super Bowl wins. So, I mean, however, Terrell, you are a Hall of Famer. You are a Hall of Famer. You can't take
yeah,
that from you either. And you should have been in on the first ballot. You
he
should
should
have.
have been, definitely.
It, 3 years into that was stupid. Anyway, if you want to hit us up, give us a call at 669-275-0323. That's 669-275-0323. And while you're at it, make sure you check out our YouTube channel over there and hit the subscribe button and follow us on social media. Follow the show on social media at Check Swing Show. That's on Instagram and Twitter. And then, of course, you can follow the radio station itself at New Twist Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I want to move on to something else a little bit right now. I want to talk about. You want to talk about the Phillies?
Why the hell not?
Let's talk about the Phillies. The Phillies last week, after a win, mind you, the Phillies last week fired their manager Joe Girardi. Um, Phillies have been an underperforming team under Girardi's tenure. They haven't made the playoffs under his tenure, and it looked like they were going to be in to another year of disappointment this year. Up until the last week, Miguel. Up until today, the Phillies have won 7 straight,
7 in a row.
6 under Rob Thompson, the interim manager. Correct?
Yes.
7 in a row altogether. Now, Miguel, you are a baseball guy. I
Oh,
tend
don't,
to
please,
say that.
please, please don't say that. Jesus.
No, you are a baseball
No,
guy.
no,
I
no.
hate to put that on you, but you are a baseball guy. Anytime you can break the lineup of the '69 Mets down and only be
You still
forgetting
can't get
one
past
player,
that.
I can't. I can't. I thought that was the most amazing thing in the world. I thought that was amazing. Like that's not even your home team, and and you weren't even alive during that. I thought that was amazing. Um, are they winning because Girardi is not there anymore?
Yes. So there's a couple of tells. Okay, there's
Mhm.
a couple of tells. Um, Phillies had a great road trip about maybe a month ago in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
They played, I think, the Dodgers. They played
Padres.
Padres, and I think they played Oakland. Well, either way,
Seattle.
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 I'm sorry, Seattle. Right. Great road trip. Probably one of the best road trips in years, or West Coast trips in years. Um, but there was something that happened, I think, towards the end of the Dodgers series where, I think we were up by 2 in the ninth. Um, our closer was not available for whatever reason. Our setup guy was not available for whatever reason. The setup was not prepared for whatever reason. So after that game, we wound up losing that game. Um, by a run in the last inning, and there was a alleged rumor that the pitchers that were available were visibly upset and did not talk to the media after the game. So when Girardi was kind of pressed on it, he said, "We usually don't like to have pitchers pitch 3 consecutive days." Now I think they did the stat. I think one of the pitchers was Sir Anthony Dominguez. I think he threw 10 pitches one day, 13 pitches another, and I think 8 another day. So they were like, even if you threw him on that third day, you're technically within a safe amount of pitches to throw him. And I think that's what wound up costing him when they came back, and I think they were like 4-12 when they came back from the West Coast. They got swept by the Mets, and it came up again. Familia wasn't available, and it was just little things here and there. So fast forward, Girardi's fired. Phillies are on a streak, and I believe it was the Sunday game, the game that Stott hit the game-winning home run, right?
Mm-hmm.
Harper says afterwards, it's great to see that the young kids finally can play. So right there, that's kind of like that dig, like, it sounded like Girardi kind of withheld the young guys from playing, and I kind of get it. It's kind of an old school mentality. They got to go through their rite of passage. We're going to gradually bring them in. We're not going to, blah, 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 blah. But Harper made a good point, was that with Stott specifically, he played every day in college. He played every day in the minor leagues at every level. And then he comes into the big leagues, and you kind of have him starting part-time. So he flat out says, like, the kids need to play. So now Stott, he's hit 3 home runs this week. Alec Bohm is starting to come around, even though he likes to break bats on his neck. So
Well,
it's like,
let me stop you real quick, because I was watching when he said that, and here's the interesting thing about Harper's comments, or where my mind went during Harper's comments. He said the young guys are getting a chance to play. Now, when he said that, Girardi had only been gone for 3 games.
correct.
Okay. The young guys played in games prior to Girardi getting fired. Now, were they in there every day? No, I mean, there's a lot of movement. I didn't understand all the movement. But when they were in, let's be honest, there wasn't a lot of production from them. Now they're getting they played a series, and a guy hit a home run, but did the young guys not get a chance to play under Girardi? Because
I
to me,
think
it seemed like they did.
I think they did in spurts, because remember, Didi Gregorius got injured,
Mm-hmm.
and then Segura got injured recently, maybe like a couple days before the firing. So I think a lot of it came out of necessity, because
Right.
I think there was a couple players that were on. There was 1 or 2 that were on the DL at the start of the season, which kind of paved the way for Bohm and for Stott to start the season on the team. I think there was 2 players that were on the IL, whatever they call it now. So I think they got their opportunity in spurts, but I think the moment that like ADD was off the IL, then it was immediately they're back. The veterans are back in the lineup.
Well, Didi just came back during Thompson's tenure.
Right.
So I guess what I'm getting at is, can we really give Thompson the credit for playing the young guys? He kind of played them out of necessity, and then he found out that the young guys might have some talent. Girardi would have had to play the young guys too, right?
Yeah, in theory.
So, and we know that Thompson that's Girardi's right hand man. So
Right.
they could have the same philosophy, and Thompson just played the young guys because he had to. What I'm getting at is, should Thompson have a chance to manage the team next year? I know it's really early. I know it's really early. But do you think this success is due to Thompson or due to circumstance?
Right now, this moment, it's probably a combination of 2. But here's the thing. Thompson, for people that don't know, has been with the Yankees organization for over 30 years. So he's been there for the 4 straight championships that they won in the late 90s, for the few that they won in the 2000s, the last one they won in 2009. So he knows what winning looks like. But again, he played the role of, you know, uh the bench coach or the bench manager, whatever you want to call it, assistant manager, if you will. Um, and those positions are kind of like a idea bouncer, if you will, but they don't make the final decisions and the final call. So I think we're gonna see probably over the course of the next month, maybe I'd say August, um, because that's when all the dog days of August are coming, and then you start to see the situations, how he handles a bullpen that's overworked, or if another injury, God forbid, happens, how he handles that. I think we have to see those things before we can make a full judgment. But I think just based on his career and his pedigree, I would probably offer him a 2 to 3 year deal, just to see. Because it's also not happenstance that this team is reacting different. They're playing different. Like there's a different energy that you see. Like there was an interview. They interviewed Thompson at his desk, I think, after the game last night in Milwaukee, and you can hear noise in the background. You can hear the guys like laughing it up, chucking it up, and whatever. But when you listen to like Joe Girardi speak, it was just kind of like, yeah, we lost. We should have done this. We could have done that, and that was kind of it. And then it was like silence. You could hear the water trickling in the Gatorade bottle. You know what I mean?
Now let me ask you this. Let me be a Philly guy. You said when Girardi's talking and you say, "Yeah, we lost," and it was quiet in there. What do you want to hear in the locker room when after the team loses?
I want to hear tables turn. I want, you know.
There's some furniture moving, huh?
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, after a loss, you're just kind of like you're still like you still got some energy. Like, oh man, we'll go out and get them, next year, next game or whatever. But
Now, no, go ahead. Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
no. And just have the energy of the fight, so to speak. So that you and I have coached many years, and together and on separate teams, and there's still you could tell that even after like a tough loss, like all right, these guys are gonna get up and come out and kick some butt tomorrow, and we'll be okay. But it just you could tell when you feel like something is lifeless or something just lacks the passion. And I think even Larry Anderson, he was interviewed the day before Girardi got fired, and he was like, there's no, it doesn't seem like there's a leader on this team. Like everybody just kind of shows up, does their thing, and they go home. And he's an insider. He's in the locker room and he sees that. He said there's no vibe. It was just lifeless. So
One thing I did hear, I hear that Girardi is a manager all the time, all the time, during the game, before the game, after the game, on the bus, in the hotel, in the mall, always a manager. Thompson is a manager when he needs to be a manager. Like he's a manager in the clubhouse, but he'll talk to you about other stuff. He'll have a beer with you after the game somewhere or something like that. Like he's a regular guy's guy. He, he's not a baseball guy to the point that baseball is all it is for him. It seems like he's more of a down to earth type of guy. So, you seem to have people respond to that a little bit more. I'll give you an example without I'll give you an example without putting a lot of information out there, and it'll kind of just be one of those things that you and I will get. It's kind of like the guys playing for us on the teams that we've coached together, and like how the guys respond to us, how they tend to like us, they respond to us, respect us. And the guys playing for a team that we don't necessarily like, if you know what I mean. And how I'm told that their guys don't really respect their management, how those guys don't like playing for the management. Um, it's kind of like that. Like we're Thompson, The other management is Girardi. Seems that way. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they say in Friday, what is it? Next Friday, you hear me knocking? Let me in. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. That piece there, I think, just to kind of piggyback off of that, it reminds me of one of the teams that we coached together, not for the high school team, but for the travel team last year. And I
mm,
just remember how tight they were. Like they were like kind of like machines. Like because I remember, I think I was cracking a joke, and you bust out laughing, and everybody, it was almost like they were scared to laugh. You know what I mean? Because that,
yeah,
like, except I think it was one of the guys. I think it was Johnny Rocket. If you remember Johnny Rocket, he laughed his ass off for like 12 minutes, but everyone else was like, you know what I mean? But it's like, and unfortunately, like I see it in every organization, even the one now. It's not as bad. I won't. I'll say it's not as bad. But I think because especially when we coach like the high school guys, there's a lot of internal pressure that they're going through just to try to get better every day. Then they have the external pressures of their families, their mothers and fathers, putting out all this money for their training. And then on top of that, why am I going to be the coach that adds on the extra?
right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, even with the guys that I have now, like, and the team that I'm coaching now, very, very talented. I love the vibe of the team because it's one of those, like, you and I always had the dream of like having like three or four guys that, like, just we just tell them what to do, they do it, and then they tell everybody to do it, and then they follow. So it makes our job a lot easier. So I have that, you know what I mean, right now.
Okay.
But I'd rather have that going into some tournaments than to have like a bunch of robots that it's almost like you have to stick an enema in some of them just to get like any type of reaction. You dig what I'm saying? Sorry for the illustration, but but we got to get away from that.
Yeah. When you have fun playing the game, you have fun playing the game. You understand what I'm saying?
And
You
you
win when you have
succeed.
fun.
Yeah, and you succeed.
Let's move on to another subject. Now, we weren't with you last week. Some scheduling difficulties came about, and we were not able to be with you last week. But a couple weeks ago, I think it was like the day after our show, a couple weeks ago. Um, U.S. Women's Soccer, I guess, organization. I'm not really sure, but
The United States Soccer Federation.
United States Soccer Federation. Thank you. They struck a deal, an equal pay deal. So now they're going to be paid on the same scale as the men. Is that how that's? Is that what it is, Miguel? They're going to
Yes,
be
the
paid on.
so USA Soccer agrees to equal pay deal. The USSF and the USWNPTA 4X squared and the United States National Soccer Team Players Association agreed to a deal that achieves equal pay and sets the global standard moving forward in international soccer. So the first federation in the world to equalize FIFA World Cup prize money and awards the teams for participating in the World Cup. So it's a truly historic event. And I think this is going to kind of pave the way overall for equality in women's athletics, or in all athletics, if you will. Um, and it's a long time coming because I think there was a push, especially with the most recent Olympics, where I mean, the numbers were kind of obvious. The U.S. Women's soccer team was traveling more, winning more, doing more to represent the United States, but they were getting paid almost like a fifth of what the men were doing, and the men's soccer team has not been as successful. So
Yeah,
that's just a common sense, you know, standpoint there.
yeah. I feel like on the international level, you know what? I feel like on the international scene, you have the men's and women's soccer team. The women have had well and above, way more success than the men have had. Okay. And for them to get paid a fraction of what the men get paid, I think that's messed up, right? And it shouldn't be that way, especially when you have a successful team. And if you have a successful team, and let's be honest, I think it was 2 World Cups ago when the U.S. soccer team actually had some success. They didn't even qualify for the last World Cup, so they weren't there. But I think it was 2 World Cups ago that they had some success. I think they got to like the quarterfinals, maybe. I think that's where they got, and it was great. Like everybody was tuned in, everybody, But the women go out there and they dominate, right?
Mhm.
So, but it makes me wonder because I'm assuming the women's soccer team. Am I to assume that they also bring in more money than the men?
I
Like,
think
there's
I would.
probably not like a collective bargaining with international. Some
Right.
it's a slippery slope, but I'm wondering if they because I would not be surprised if they bring in more money because they're more successful.
Right, and I think they actually proved that in court when they started this negotiation. Um, was how much they do actually bring in, and I think that's what the disparity was. Even though I think the men's soccer brought in, they were winning less, they were making more. So that's where the biggest disparity was. It was really in the distribution of the revenue that was coming in. Which I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
it
and when you get to that, I mean, that speaks for itself.
right.
One sport that is an international sport, they compete on an international level with the Olympics as well, where I feel like at least in the last 20 years, okay, probably brought in more money than the men's sport of the same sport was
Mhm.
tennis. I feel like women's tennis
Yeah,
probably had um probably mostly due to the Williams sisters, to be honest with you. Brought in probably they put a whole new attention on women's tennis.
mm,
And I feel like for me, I was more interested in women's tennis than men's tennis when once the Williams sisters became successful. Prior to the Williams sisters uh, competing professionally, I was a tennis fan. I used to watch tennis. I would watch the Wimbledon every year.
mm.
A lot of times the final would land on my birthday, so I was watching it every year. I was watching Agassi, I was watching Pete Sampras, Michael Chang, Boris Becker. I was watching all those guys. Um, and then on the women's side, I'm watching Martina Navratilova. I'm watching Chris Everett. I'm watching Lindsay Davenport, Martina Hingis. I'm watching all of them before the Williams sisters. And then I wouldn't. I mean, it was kind of to me, it was kind of even, right? The women's sport side of the sport wasn't as what's the word I'm looking for? Power dominated. It was more of a finesse game. Whereas when the Williams sisters came in, they brought in the power to the game, and now a lot of the female tennis players are bringing power to the game, power and speed to the game rather than finesse. And it's just been more interesting than the men to me. Maybe
Yeah.
because there hasn't been a good American in a long time, but yeah, shoot, there hasn't really been a really good American since Pete Sampras, to be honest with you.
But even from an entertainment because Agassi was great, but he
Mhm.
had that entertain he had that edginess to him. McEnroe was great, but he had
Yeah.
that edginess to him, and it's like I think after McEnroe, then after Agassi retired, Sampras, kind of was the mantle holder for a little bit, but then after that, it was like everybody was just kind of like, all right, this is guy with a do rag, whatever, and it's like, but I think during that time that when the men stopped being competitive or not competitive, but they started losing that light when the Williams sisters came in, they just took it over and they just have not been able to come down from that. You know what I mean? Because I don't even know. I don't know what men play tennis. To be quite honest, I do not know any men that play tennis.
Outside of the top guy, the guys that have been the top guys for
What's
the
that
last
like
10 years or so.
Nadal?
You got Nadal, you got Federer, who's still playing, who is probably very close to retirement. You have Novak Djokovic. There's a couple other guys that I do know that I can't think of, but I'm
I
not
would
tuned into them as I am the women's side.
I would rather watch Agassi and Monroe playing now in the old timers tennis match than
Wow,
watching the act. There's just no appeal. Like, but when I heard one of the Williams sisters playing, it's like
must see TV.
must see TV. I mean, granted, they're beautiful women to look at, but not for. And it's not even about like how beautiful they look because they're beautiful, but just to see the power and the grace that they play with.
And it's not even just that. Greatness will always command attention.
Yeah, yeah,
They are great players,
yes,
right? Nadal is great too. Djokovic is great too, but they were at one time on a whole different level great than their competition.
right.
A whole different level great, and to the point where now the rest of the world is catching up to them because they're now bringing what she bought. Kind of like Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was different
Yeah,
level great.
yeah.
Now these youngins are here. I mean, Tiger been hurt and all that, but these youngins are here now, and they're bringing the same thing to the game that he bought, and they've caught up. Basketball. Michael Jordan was another level great. Everybody watching Michael Jordan come into the game, emulating Jordan, the Kobe's, the Tracy McGrady's, all those guys. Now it's on a different level. Now you'll probably see people emulating LeBron and Durant, different level.
Mhm.
But say all that to say to get back to what we were saying. Tennis is a sport where I feel like the women probably could garner more money than the men. Um,
And well deserved. I mean, they're people are paying to watch them.
Now I know Coach Mo would choke me for saying this, but I'm gonna say it
Oh,
anyway. I don't think I don't think men and women's basketball is on the same level. And here's why I say that. I will watch both. I can watch any level of basketball. There is not one WNBA team working at a profit. To start a WNBA team, now overseas internationally might be something different, but to start a WNBA team is to know that you're going to be working at a deficit. And if you're working at a deficit, it's kind of hard to say that we deserve the same type of money. Not that they're saying that they might be, but the best player in the WNBA and the best player in the NBA, should they be making the same amount of money when their games are not bringing in the same amount of money? Like that would be a collective bargaining type thing.
got you.
Um,
So what is it? Is it the game flow? Is it not enough? Are the women not dunking enough? Is it not flat? Like what is it?
so so I think one of the things with that game is it depends on what you're watching for. I feel like people that really like if people that play basketball, that understand the ins and outs of the X's and O's and all that, they can watch either one probably with the same level of entertainment. Okay.
Hmm,
Your casual fan that just wants to watch a basketball game is going to see the exciting dunks, the alley oops, the all the stuff that it's an above the rim game for the men, whereas it's not so much for the women. Whereas if that same person goes to look at a women's game and they're looking for that for the above the rim game, they'll probably be disappointed with what they see. Not to say that the women's game is not equal, but it's not equal on that level because they don't play an above the rim game. Now you got women in the WNBA with some handles that'll break you down. You got some women that with post up moves, they can do it all, but it's just a different level of game. Now, here's one for you, Miguel, that you're going to want to choke me.
Oh man.
If 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 they were getting paid for college baseball and college softball,
Ooh.
I would say the softball players should get more money than the baseball players.
But you know what? I would actually lean towards agreement on that because I've watched the college. Who was the winner? That was it. Florida. I'm always watching. It's always Florida, Oklahoma, and
In the women's World Series, it's Oklahoma and Texas, I believe.
Texas. Okay, yeah. That's one thing I actually was thinking about. Like, man, what if there was a women's baseball league or a women, or a women's softball major league? Just be college sports in general, like there's certain sports that, like, wow, when you watch it, you see the energy, you see the passion, and that's baseball for me. Just to see like how passionate, because I mean they're on borrowed time. The most that they could play is 4 years, so it's like they're trying to get as much as they can, out now. But to watch the softball college World Series, man, and the intensity in that.
Yeah, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man. It- it-
Yeah,
it's 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 fun to watch.
it is. It
As a
actually
baseball
is.
player, it's fun to baseball. I'm sorry, baseball fans. Baseball is not a it. Baseball tends to not be a fun game to watch. I'm one of those guys that understands the X's and O's, and I can be entertained watching any type of baseball game because I'm looking at it from a different perspective. Miguel is the same way, but for an excitement level, for action, softball is where it's at. The women's game is where it's at.
I'd have to agree, and it's a shame because it's self inflicted. Like the reason why baseball is not fun to watch, it's a self inflicted, um, incorrect marketing strategy, which I think that they're trying to obviously overcorrect. I guess you can say, between the banning of the shift next year, between juice baseballs now, which have always been a thing. Because I think the hitting coach for the Mets, he believes that the balls are juice, but you know he's the Mets. He's part of the Mets, and they're starting to suck now, and they can eat my left toe. But I mean, there's some validity. So it's a shame because baseball is what it is now, and I think they're starting to see, like, it started with the creator of the use of analytics in the last 10 years, who just got fired, Joe Madden, and then the general manager, the old general manager for the Cubs, and how he said, Theo Epstein, where he said he regrets using analytics the way they did and making the game boring. Like, it got to he quit baseball because he can't even watch what he created.
Yeah, it messed up the fun of the game. Analytics would have so you're gonna laugh, Miguel, who I bring up. The Juan Pierre led Florida Marlins, the team that
Oh
beat
my
the
goodness, Juan Pierre.
had not been for analytics been involved at the time, we would have never saw that team.
You know what my issue with Juan Pierre is? He has a misshaped body. His body, his head was too small for his body, and it made him look awkward to me. That's why I could not stand Juan Pierre. And he wore, or he was a size small, and he wore a size triple X jersey, and it just made he look
I
like
always loved this style. I always wanted like I call that the Negro League look. Like that's
which
how
is
I wanted to do. I wanted the big jersey, the big pants, have the the pant leg up to my knee, and
which
back.
And it's perfectly fine, but he did not have a Negro League neck.
Matter of fact, hold on, I want to show you something, Miguel. Hold on,
Lord,
hold on.
don't hurt yourself.
I'm gonna try not to. So hold on.
I see the wire. I see. I was gonna say I see the wire pulling on your back.
Yeah, let me.
Don't hurt yourself, bro.
All right. Oh, there it is. All right. Let me get myself back together here. So,
are those concert earplugs?
Huh?
Those look like the concert earplugs like that Prince used.
For like musicians.
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, here is your 2003 University of Maryland Eastern Shore Media Guide, right? And can you tell like my baggy look there?
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yep.
That's what I like. That's
It wasn't the look. Like that look was fine. It was just on him. It just his head was too small, man. He had
you know what? Okay, so one thing about Juan Pierre, that I found funny, and it was because before the Marlins, I didn't know Juan Pierre. I think it was the Rockies he played for. He had like this big, thick mustache. It was you had to look it up one day. Like he had this big. I was like, that's Juan Pierre. He had like this big old 1980s mustache. The thing was crazy. And I was probably after he cut it off was when he became fast.
Slow down. Once he got rid of all the hair on his face,
once he got rid of that mustache, he became aerodynamic, and that's how it goes. I don't even know how we got on that topic there, Juan Pierre.
Because we were talking about analytics. Yeah. And I always want to preface this: I'm not against analytics. Analytics has been around since the beginning of baseball, using statistics, everything like that to try to come up with a better outcome as a coach. It's used, it's just when you manage the game using nothing but data and percentages, and you take the feeling away and you take the passion away, at the end of the day, like those numbers don't mean anything because
I'll tell you, I have a friend, and there are many people that play this game, and I haven't played it yet, but I have a friend that plays this game. I don't know what it's called, but it's a baseball game it's a computer game that you don't necessarily play, right? Like MLB The Show, you play. Mm-hmm. You swing the bat, you hit you play. In this one, you're like a manager and you put your team together, and it's almost like fantasy baseball, but you put your team together and it's basically it is fantasy baseball, but you put your team together, and instead of like just getting your points and all like that, you're going to make substitutions during the day. Oh, they're facing a righty. You're going to, and that to me is the difference between analytics and non-analytics. Like playing that game is all analytics, and you're really only going by the data. Mm-hmm. Playing the show, you're getting the feel. You're watching. You're reacting. You're getting glitched out by the left fielder. You know what I'm talking about.
You're still upset about that?
I'm not upset about it. You were killing me anyway. You was beating me by like 7. So, but I at least would have scored like 1.
It would have been 7-1.
Anyway, that would have been 7-2.
7. Yeah, you're right.
And actually, if I just let him keep going instead. Anyway, all right, let's move on because we're running out of time here. We don't have a lot of time, so I do want to mention. This: the Celtics are up in the NBA Finals, 2-1. Can you believe that? 2-1. The Celtics are up in the NBA Finals against the New England, the Golden State Warriors. Miguel, I know you're not a big NBA guy. I know you were like, yo, they became real soft, and I was out. This has been a physical series. Steph Curry got hurt a little bit last night. Um, but when you look at this, are we looking at a situation where if it continues, if the Celtics go on to win, are we looking at a out with the old, in with the new type situation? This is the passing of the torch right here.
I
I mean,
hope
let's
not.
be honest. The
Not with
Warriors haven't won
Celtics.
the finals in a long time, but
This is what their third in the last 5 or
this is
6.
like their six finals in the last 8 years or something crazy like that. I think they went to five straight. They went to five straight, and then they were out of it for like a few years, and then they went to this one. So yeah, they played LeBron, lost to Kawhi. Then they were out. I don't know if they were out 2 years or 1 or 3 years. I think they were out, and then now they're back in. Um, but the Celtics are balling, man. I hate to say it because I'm a Sixers fan, and all things Boston I can't really deal with. But the Celtics are balling, man. They're making the Warriors look old. They really are.
Well, I mean, they all dynasties have to come to an end. That was funny because when you were saying brawls and stuff, I was watching an old ESPN highlight. It was the Sixers had clinched the Atlantic Division. This was like back in 89, 90, and they did it in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And Isaiah Thomas had got ejected because he just started swinging on Rick Mahorn. Like he gave him a left and a right, and Mahorn just stood there and was like, "Are you serious?" And he just looked at him and smiled. And then I think Lambeer like came at Barkley and started like throwing haymakers at him and stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
remember that?
yeah. Yes.
So you know, to me, I'm like, that's good old time basketball. You know what I mean? And I get that this, and I did see a couple of series where like, okay, they're getting physical, but I
Mhm.
think I need to see it over time because I think they do it in spurts because I think they even said like they call more fouls during the regular season to try to preserve the players to get to the playoffs so that way now it can get physical, and hopefully help the ratings and whatnot. So how have the ratings been for the series?
I'm so glad you brought that up because I didn't put that in the notes. So, of the top 10 rated sporting events within the past year, where do you think, and it is in the top 10, where do you think these finals rank in the top 10?
10th.
No, actually, it's fourth. They rank fourth. Now, number one is the North Carolina Kansas championship basketball game, March Madness.
Oh, you did all of okay, gotcha.
All of sports. Number two was the Carolina Duke semifinal game in the Final
From
Four
from this year?
from this year.
Gotcha.
Number three was, I want to say, Carolina and St. Peter's. Yes, my Carolina Tar Heels were all over that tournament. Was Carolina St. Peter's, I believe. Number four, Celtics Warriors. Number five, I want to say was St. Peter's and Purdue, something like that.
What about the Carolina Villanova game that y'all lost?
No. Carolina played. I'm sorry. Villanova played. They lost to.
No, I know that, but is this all time or this is just for this
No,
year?
just within the
Okay,
past year.
my bad,
Just the
my
past
bad.
year.
Okay, I misunderstood. Gotcha.
Yeah, just the past year. But yeah, I'm glad you asked that. And to go back to what I was saying about the champions, the past champions. So, this is the Warriors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 championship that they're in the last 8 years. So last year, Phoenix and Milwaukee. The year before that, the Lakers and the Heat, and then the Warriors won. They won one, lost one, won two in a row, lost one, and could be on their way to losing this one as well. They don't. They just don't look like they're going to win this series. They
Yeah,
just don't.
I was actually like low key looking forward to the Heat getting there, so my man could get his retribution against the Sixers for letting them
Well, he
drop.
did. He
I mean,
did
he
get his.
did, yeah, against us, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just think looking back, they should have.
Well, to be completely honest with you, he went to the finals the year after the Sixers let him go.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
He was in
Yeah.
the finals in that bubble year. So Jimmy Butler should still be a Sixer. All right. That's all we're gonna get to in about that. It's probably
But we got Tobias Harris.
yeah, we do. And he was in that movie, Hustle. Check out the movie Hustle. R. Hunter is in that movie too, so check it out when you get a chance. Um, it's time for Miguel to stump me, and it's time for him to answer all the questions because these questions are so weak that I have to. I could come up with a question right now that I know guarantee for a fact you would not get it. For a fact, I know you wouldn't get it. So, do you want one of those, or do you want one out of the corny card box?
Give me the one that you think and I
That
will
you
I
won't
won't
get?
get. Yeah, I won't get.
All right. But let me let you stump me first. So we're looking at a baseball player here who's mostly number 33 for his entire life, except for 2 years. Let me guess the teams and get them wrong real quick.
Hmm.
He's played for the Athletics, the Cubs, the now known Guardians, the Yankees, the White Sox, the D Rays, maybe the D backs too.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I knew
Oh,
that.
Oakland. He played for Oakland, Texas. You did get the Tampa Bay right. Boston, Yankees, White Sox, and Blue Jays.
Two-time World Series champion, Rookie of the Year, MVP, six-time All-Star, four-time Silver Slugger. I have no idea. Give me the teams again.
Oakland Athletics, Texas Rangers, Tampa Bay Rays, Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, Chicago White Sox, and the Toronto Blue Jays.
And he was an MVP, a six-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, two-time World Series champion, a four-time Silver Slugger, and he played for that many teams.
Correct. So Oakland, I believe he played for twice. That's why you
Looks like
see the color up there twice.
yeah. What?
Uh,
Give me the time frame of his career.
Mid '80s to the end, mid '80s to the early 2000s. So he had a relatively long career.
What position did he play?
Um, Outfield.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I was about to say, if you say outfield, I'm reaching through this camera. Um,
Oh, he was also a DH. Not that that helps anything, but
well, I know Frank Thomas didn't play for all those teams. Juan's, no, he didn't. He never played in the World Series.
you love guessing one. So you guess
Yeah,
one so
sorry,
much.
but you know what? I wasn't even. I was thinking Juan Gonzalez, but Samuel
Oh,
came out my mouth.
I got you.
Because Juan Gonzalez, I know played for the Rangers, and I know he played for the Yankees at one point, I believe. But I don't think he
Yeah,
played for
briefly.
the. He never played for a bunch of those other teams. Played for the Rays. He played for the A's. He played for the Rangers. Give me the teams again.
Oakland, Texas, Tampa Bay, Boston, Yankees, White Sox, and Blue Jays.
I'm going to take a wild guess here, and I know this isn't right. Jose Canseco.
Bam!
Oh my God.
Bam!
Wow. I didn't realize he played for the Rays. I had no idea he played for the Rays. That must have been
Yeah,
the
he
last
played.
day of his career.
Yeah, he went from Oakland to Texas. Then he played in Boston in like '95. Back to Oakland one time, and then he was in Tampa Bay, New York, and Chicago between '99 and 2001. He was
Wow.
the first 40-40 man. And that picture you see there is him famously not catching a pop up and causing a home run.
Ball bouncing off his nugget.
Uh-huh. And then of course he also came out with the book that opened up the steroid gate in baseball.
Why? Why did you have to do that? You messed up baseball for a little while. Still trying to recover. Juan Jose Canseco, that was my guy. He was the man. Jose Canseco there. All right, so I'm going to pose this question in a way that you might be able to get some of it. Okay,
Hmm.
because I know that you are a sports junkie in a way.
I wouldn't say
So
junkie.
I was going to ask you the losing team of this NBA Finals, but I'm going to ask you if you can name both teams, and I'll give you credit if you name one team.
Okay.
Okay. And city and nickname, you have to have the city and the nickname. Okay. What teams played in the very first NBA Finals?
The New York White Crackerbacks.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I apologize.
you just got canceled. You just got canceled.
Hey,
Who is
Noah,
left?
Noah, we need to edit real quick. Oh my goodness. Was it the Knickerbockers, the New York Knickerbockers?
No, neither one of those are correct.
The Harlem Shakes?
Nope.
What city were they from the same state?
The two teams? No.
East Coast teams?
One of them.
Syracuse?
No.
Was it a major metropolis?
Yes, both teams were from a major metropolis.
Cincinnati?
No.
Boston?
No. Now you're just throwing them out. No.
Chicago?
Chicago was one of them, but what was their name? Chicago who? No way you get this unless you cheat. No way you get this unless you cheat. Unless you just know stuff for no reason. You look like you're about to cheat. Is he over there? He's over there cheating.
No, I'm not.
He's over there looking at his phone.
No, my phone is over there. I'm looking at some Pepto Bismol.
It's not there either.
I don't know this one.
So the team that lost the NBA Finals that year, 4-1, was the Chicago Stags. The Chicago Stags. The team that won the NBA Finals that year, 4-1. Your Philadelphia Warriors.
Philadelphia Warriors.
Your
Wow.
Philadelphia Warriors in 1947. 1947.
I forgot the
And
NBA was one of the NBA was one of the last leagues to really formalize. I think that's what threw
yeah,
me off
because
because I'm thinking like early 1900s, but the NBA was really the last one to form.
they only been around 75 years.
Yeah.
75 years. Philadelphia Warriors also went on to play in the finals the next year, but lost to the Baltimore Bullets 4-2.
I think they should bring back that name,
Which one?
the Bullets.
I mean, I wasn't against it, but I know why they changed it.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah. Well, that is going to do it for the Check Swing podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed discussing it. Next week, we got some more stuff that we're going to discuss. And Red Shirt Noah might even make a surprise appearance again on next week's show. You never know.
Did you want to, since you kind of,
Should I just bring him in anyway?
Yeah, bring him in.
Just put his feet
There's
to the fire.
There's no pressure. It's literally only like 38 seconds left in the show. So
that's Red Shirt Noah right there. He is our newest intern for the Check Swing podcast. And he's responsible for some of those full screens you saw up there. And I am responsible for accidentally putting them on air earlier.
And I didn't even see it. I can't even lie. I was looking at another screens. I don't know what my face was, but
don't even worry about it. If they're listening on like Apple Podcasts, they're not even going to see it. Don't even worry about it. So thank you for your work, Red Shirt Nova. We look forward to doing some more work with you in the coming days, weeks, and months, and however long you stick around with us. We appreciate it.
And for the record, he is of age, even though he looks like he's not.
Yeah, I know. I have a little baby face. I've never grown facial hair, never cut it or anything. I can't grow it.
All right. When you said how old he was, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, but then I remember you told me that he was where he goes, so that made sense at that point.
Yeah, he's also my he's an assistant coach on my team, and I think we were running some practice and we were kind of short on one side. He's like, "Coach, I'll run." I'm like, "Go the hell ahead, because I can't."
Isn't it great when you got young guys around that'll do that?
Oh my goodness, he can hit, he can run, he can fit. I'm like, "Gee, have at it."
Hasn't let me hit too much yet, but I'm saving that.
Well, yeah,
good luck with that. I'll tell you right now, he loves to hit the ball, so good luck with that one. But yeah, thank you for your help, for your work and all that good stuff. And like I said, we look forward to working more with you in the future.
Thank you guys for having me, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Now, get out of here. All right. All right. Now, it's time for us to wrap up the show. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We are going to get up out of here. We'll talk to y'all next time. Subscribe to us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. All right, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Make sure you check out the 10-7 show on Sunday with Tara, Tyra, Goose, and myself. And then, if you're watching on Twitch, come back at some point and watch me play some MLB The Show at some point, probably this weekend. All right. With that being the case, I'm for Miguel and for Red Shirt Noah. We're gonna get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us. Talk to y'all next week. Peace.